Welcome back, guys. I'm Zell, and today we're looking at the big Spydercos. Alright, guys, while I had them here, I've got to send a couple of these back to Texas, back down to Todd Knife and Tool, so I thought we'd better get a look at the three of them together. And this really isn't a versus video, this is kind of a comparison video. Whenever we start looking at the three knives, we have the Venerable Endura. You know, most people know this knife, and you know, it's the big brother to the Delica. And it's a great knife, FRN handles, bidirectional texturing. I love that bidirectional texturing. It's some wonderful stuff. Standard Spyderco pocket clip, and it's just a great knife. It measures out to just under 5 inches whenever it's closed, and it's about 0.43 inches thick. So, you know, it's a very good pocket knife, especially for that guy with large and extra large hands. The Police, on the other hand, is a very thin little knife at less than 1/3 of an inch thick, 0.29, very, very thin. But it comes in a lot larger. It's 5.31 inches long, and it weighs a bunch more. Our Enduro weighs 3.29 ounces. It's a lightweight for its class. The Police is weighing in at 5.6 ounces, just slightly under that. And there is a G10 model, but you only knock about half an ounce or so off of it by going to the new G10 model. Now, it does have some better steel in that model, and if I get a chance to look at one, we sure will. But the Police is just a heavy knife, heavy purpose-driven knife. And in our military, we get the G10 handles, and man, it's a looker. It's a nice looking knife. However, it also comes in at 5.5 inches long closed. Let's get these things lined up here and see what that comes out to. That is a lot more knife. Now, whenever we talk about blades, they do have some differences in blade length. It's not vast, though. So, this is a lot more difference here than there is in blade length. Anyhow, we'll slide these a bit apart here so we can throw up our comparisons. There's our regular Delica. Delica is pretty small compared to these guys. And of course, we'll throw out the Buck 110. Now, the Buck 110 weighs more than all of them, but it's smaller than all of them too. And I don't think we need to get the rat out for this one. And now let's get a look at the blade. Starting with the biggest one, we got the Police. It comes in at just under 4.2 inches. Big old long Spidey drop point. And really, it is a drop point, Spidey drop point, but it's kind of been set up to be more of a spear point. And that is on purpose from Spyderco. Like I said, this is a very purpose-driven knife. If you watch the review of this knife on its own, which I'll put all of those reviews up under the eye, this thing is hollow ground about halfway up, and then it's swedged at the front. This is a knife that's designed to help the first responder, especially the Police, do their job and use as a self-defense tool. It's not a great EDC knife because of that really short hollow grind. But, you know, it will slice your apple, but it's just not going to be as good at it as the other two. But anyhow, 4.17 inches of VG10. That's another thing. I wish they'd have moved that up to another steel, but if you get the newer G10 model, it has been. I can't remember what steel that is, but it's got a much nicer steel in it. Going down to 4 inches, we have the Spyderco Military. And our Spyderco Military is full flat ground. You can get it without the spider edge or with, and it's S30V instead of EG10, which is a nice thing. The problem with this blade is you're leaving a 1/2 inch of blade on the table that they got stuffed back down there in the handle. You know, the blade ends about right there, so maybe not quite a 1/2 inch, but a lot of handle for the amount of blade. Which, you know, we deal with that with the paramilitaries, and it's not that big a deal, but whenever we get to a knife this big, it kind of is for EDC. It may not be for its intended purpose, which is definitely military and first responder use. But there you can see the difference. And moving on along to our Endura. With the Endura, we have a 3.78 inch blade made of VG10, and it's also thinner. That's something I didn't talk about. Our military comes in at 0.145, just 3.7 millimeters, and these two come in at 0.116, just under 3 millimeters. So these two knives have a much thinner blade. However, this is the least robust, and I'll explain. This one is full flat ground all the way down out of EG10. Very nice grind, nice Spidey drop point, and they've even clipped it a little bit here at the end to give you a little bit more tip stability. And it's a great ground blade. I really love these things in ZDP 189 and some of the sprint run stuff. This one has more stability, not because it's thicker, but because of the grind. Again, going for first responders and police, we've got that half hollow grind, and we've got these swedges here. That lets somebody make a jabbing motion with a nice pointy tip, a lot pointier than normal, but it also leaves a full width of the blade down almost all the way to the tip. It tapers just a little bit down there at the end, but not a lot, leaving you a lot more meat down the end of the blade so that you've got a nice thick blade going all the way out to the tip, giving you a more robust blade, one you're probably not gonna break the tip off of near as easily. So that's kind of your blade comparison. If you were to give a winner out of the blades, the way they sit right here, it would be the military because of the S30V. It's a little more robust, but still full flat ground, so you could do anything you can do with the thinner blades, but just have a little more robust blade. Now, if this Endura was in one of the sprint run steels or CDP 189, it would go to the Endura because it's a little thinner and full flat ground and a little lighter. However, blade length, of course, got to take that into consideration. Okay, from here, let's stick these guys in the Levi's so you can get a look at that. First up, we have the military. And the military, you've got about an inch sticking out, and that goes for all three, well, two of these knives. The Endura is only about 3/4 of an inch, but you have about an inch sticking out, but it's in a weird shape, and yeah, it gets caught on things, kind of bangs up against stuff. But it's not too bad if you don't mind the tip down carry. Whenever you go to the police, you get about an inch sticking up. We talked about this in review. It's kind of annoying. I mean, come on, guys. You could have done something, but for its intended use, it's okay. Except that in a regular pair of jeans, this thing tends to hit things for whatever reason. You know, that's a mystery, but it sure does. And then our Endura. Our Endura is shaped different up here and slightly lower in the pocket, and it doesn't hit near as many things. Don't know why. Like I said, that's a mystery, but that's kind of what they look like in the pocket, and we'll throw them all in here. Do be aware that this pocket is coming up on at an angle there, so you get a bit of an optical illusion with these all three in the pocket about heights. But that's what they all look like in the pocket, and they all ride fairly low. Well, not fairly low. They all ride low enough, and they would be fine to carry every day. And from here, we're going to go to a pause and read card. It's got the major stats for all three of these knives, and then I'll be right back with you. All right, guys, mechanically, these two knives are very close. We've got back locks with Boyd dents in them, and they work great. You know, our Police, our Endura. Now, I have no idea what kind of pivot that the Police has in it because, well, you can't get the dang thing apart. The Endura has a standard sleeve and torque screw pivots, so does the military. The military's pivot, of course, is a little larger because it's meant for harder use. And the military is also a liner lock. And it's not a normal liner lock, it's kind of a partial liner lock. The liner kind of comes down like this, and this back spacer at the back of the knife holds the liner in. And locks up solid. All of them lock up solid. All of them work extremely well. Mechanically, they're Spydercos. They're sound. And they're long-running Spydercos. Been around for a long time, so Spyderco has had plenty of time to work out any kinks, and they all work great. They all lock up solid. No problems whatsoever there. And the big thing with these knives is they are big. You know, we talked about the length, and we're talking 5 inches or better all the way across. Your Police, man, it feels good in the hand. I've got medium-large hands. Whenever you get a hold of it like this, it feels good. Feels good here, and it's really thin like we talked about. Man, it's just really good. I can do anything I want till I get it in a reverse grip, and then it's weirdly long. I mean, it would work, but it's weirdly long. Now, if you've got really large hands, awesome. Now, the Endura, as I've talked about before, is not my favorite ergonomically. If you've got larger hands than me or slightly smaller hands than me, then it would probably be fine. But it just hits me in a weird spot right here on my middle finger, and I don't care for it. But really, you know, it does a good job, and the handle is just short enough that you can get that reverse grip. But overall, very good ergonomics, especially for someone with large hands. And your military. Now, your military is where the ergonomics get really good. Whenever you're holding it like this, you got it like this, you know, all those types of things. But whenever you get around that reverse grip, you better have big hands or be ready to choke back on it, because there's a lot of handle there. There's 5 1/3 inches of handle. It is long. Overall, though, for its size, it's very nice in the hand. So, guys, that has been an overview of 3 of the larger, very similar Spydercos. Now, if you were looking at these 3, what would I say to get if you were carrying for EDC? Well, of course, I'm going to point you at an Endura. Not the base model Endura. I'm going to point you at the ZDP 189 Endura, unless you have corrosion issues where you live, because that ZDP 189 is awesome. And it doesn't, whenever we're talking about a knife this size, it doesn't cost that much more. This knife's about $70 retail, and you can get the ZDP 189 one for under $100. So if you're looking for this style of knife, the ZDP 189 doesn't really cost that much more. Now, if you are a first responder, would I suggest getting a Police? I would suggest, if you're a first responder, policeman, any of those things, that you look at what you want that knife to be used for. If you're looking for a self-defense weapon, I would look at the G10 model of the Police, the newer one. I don't know that I would get the stainless model. You know, we talked about that in the full review a little bit, how it's very purpose-driven, but it's also very heavy, and with all the gear the first responders have to wear anymore, weight is golden. So I don't know that I could suggest this particular knife for anybody in the first responder group. Now, if you are a first responder and you love that thing, you know, let me know. Let me know why. You know, I haven't been in that position in many years, so I'm kind of out of the loop, so as you could say. The military, The military is another knife that, as it stands right now, I really don't understand. It is a great knife, well built, well designed. There are a few little things that need fixing, in my opinion. Go to a standard clip, let us have tip up, tip down, left and right, and take care of the wasted space down here. And if you're not going to take care of the wasted space, give us a bigger lanyard hole. You know, one of the two. And I think they do have a bigger lanyard hole on the newer militaries. But still, for EDC use, you know, I don't know. Even for military use, I'm not sure that it is the right choice. You know, you'd have to think about what you're doing and what you need that knife for. And there's Nixie barking upstairs. And decide if it really is for you. You know, I can tell you, I know many people that went through their entire military career carrying one of these. Delica. And they carried it in places that anymore we would think you would carry a Hinderer or a Strider or a ProTech or something like that. So I'm not going to make any recommendations on those fronts. You got to take your situation and figure it out. But for the EDC end of things, the Endura, yeah, it's probably the winner for most people, especially in that ZDP 189 version. Anyhow, guys, that's been a look at 3 of the similar, bigger Spydercos. And you guys have a great day. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time.